Hey guys, it's Curtis from Magical Menagerie, and today we're going to talk about what kind of spirit keeper you're going to be. So, Carmen and I have been connecting people with guides and doing spell work for people and readings for people for about 4 years now as our main profession. And that is a lot of time and effort, let me tell you. Through all of our transactions with people, we have kind of lumped them into groups and categories of what kind of keeper they are and what kinds of things they're going to need. For us, this is just kind of something we notice in trends in, our different customers. So it's kind of cool to look back now and say, oh yeah, there's definitely different kinds of spirit keepers. So we have compiled them into 6 different types, and they all have different needs and different things. So if you find that one of these is your type of spirit keeping, at least you'll know kind of what you're getting yourself into. Alright, so the first type of spirit keeper is the collector or passive spirit keeper. This is a person who hears about spirit guides, is probably into witchy things, or just likes the sound of it and buys a guide. This person probably doesn't want a lot or need a lot of communication or affirmation from their guide or the seller to know that the guide is there. They just kind of accept it and move on with their day, and they're just tickled and absolutely thrilled that they have a spirit guide. So these people are kind of like our mom who got into spirit keeping and just was really excited about it, and she has a couple guides that she talks to every now and then, and when she uses a pendulum to talk to them, and when she talks to them, the pendulum swings really fast, and she just gets really excited about it, and she loves it. She loves her guides, and she knows that they protect her, she knows that they help her, and she doesn't really question how and to what capacity they do that. She just likes having them around, and she feels their energy every now and then. But she's a passive keeper, so she doesn't really do a lot of offerings. She really doesn't try to go to her guides for help or information. She just accepts their presence and invites them to influence and guide her, subconsciously through her life, and she trusts that they're there. So that is the passive collector and keeper. Sometimes people who are really into the collecting side of guides will purchase items or spirited items or spelled items for the novelty of the item, and really after they purchase the item is just kind of excited to say like, hey, got this cool dragon thing here. It's awesome, isn't it? Can you feel it? Those kind of people. So there are people like that that are the collectors and passive keepers. They're not really so interested in communication, but they like to have their guides around, and their guides do help them as well. So if you're looking into getting a spirit guide, you can be a passive keeper where you know that your guides are helping you and giving you energy, and you don't really necessarily have to communicate with them. They're going to be just as happy with you as they would be anywhere else because they're doing their job, and every time you think about them, you give them the energy that they need to do it. Alright, so the next type of guide we have deemed the executive. And the executive is usually a person who is very strict about what they want. They want results now from their guide, or their results yesterday from their guide, and they know exactly, what results they're looking for, but maybe not exactly what spirit or type of spirit. So a lot of times these people come to us saying like, can your guides help me with XYZ? And they're very particular about the guide that they get helping them with their specific goal. So these people come to spirit keeping with a very specific obstacle to overcome. Often they tend towards, we've noticed, dark arts entities, jinn and vampires, or luck drawing spirits that can handle things like financial obstacles or just general life obstacles and just knock it out really quick. A lot of times they're also looking to get ahead in their field or progress in a field that's not necessarily spiritually oriented, but they just want to get ahead. So they're not overly concerned with the spiritual aspects of spirit keeping, but they do know and value guides as being able to help them. The reason they'll probably tend towards dark art spirits is because dark art spirits oftentimes can get a lot done with a little interaction, and the people who are looking for that quick kind of result from their guide are going to already have like massive amounts of energy available to that guide to just go ahead and knock it out. So most of the time they're not really concerned about connecting with the guide or really talking to the guide a lot, they probably will more like almost pray to the spirit guide to help them. And in that case, they're going to need a guide who is self-sustaining. So oftentimes we will connect them with a guide that kind of does their own thing, and when they ask for something or ask for help, the guide is going to do their best to manifest it. Usually these are going to be stronger entities who can get more done in short order, and that the executive usually buys the guide once in a while for a specific purpose. The only thing about an executive keeper is that they may not get the most out of their guides in the long run because of their lack of interest in the whole spiritual development side of spirit keeping. And that's not necessarily a bad thing because it's not for everyone. But at the same time, that is a drawback of that kind of spirit keeping. If you buy guides for quick help and quick attainment, you lose out on the whole spiritual aspect, which is the whole sustainability and the whole well-rounded life that spirit keeping is supposed to give to you. So that is the executive. Moving on, the next type of guide is the explorer. The explorer is a person who is generally excited about life and intrigued by most things and really just wants to connect with spirits to get their hands on as much information and experience as possible. These people are usually gnosis seekers or people who want to learn and explore spirituality. Oftentimes these people come to spirit keeping with a pretty well established spiritual practice, or one that they're really getting underway. At least they have most of the time pretty good moral basis, pretty good work with intention, and they're people who are usually observant and really concerned with what's going on in the world around them and how to get the most out of their environment and the best kind of experience in life. These people usually get guides to help them explore their desires or the things that they want. So they might focus on certain aspects, like they might focus on earth entities or very spiritual entities, or entities to help them with shamanism, or entities to help them with their yoga practice, or entities to help them with just getting along in daily life. But they have whatever their desire is, whatever they're trying to develop, they're usually looking for a guide to help them develop in some way, and to explore some aspect of themselves or side of their self. So they often take a lot of care in selecting a companion, and these people will grill and grill and grill us on who's the best to help them with what they're trying to do, which is wonderful because we want you to have a guide that you absolutely get along with if you are an explorer and you are trying to get the most out of your experience. So these people spend a lot of time working closely with one or two guides at a time, and usually they work in sections, and they might get more guides, or they might just want one really strong guide that's going to help them with everything. So usually as they move through their own practice and they're achieving their goals and things like that, they'll want to get more guys that get connected and just kind of end up building this team that helps to support their practice and their lifestyle and encourages their exploration. So it's kind of like building spiritual resources for them and building a spiritual support system. So that is the explorer kind of mentality, and people who are explorers usually end up becoming people who have very practiced and honed spiritual skills because they spend so much time working with their guides, and they oftentimes will make sure that they have regimented ritual practice with their guides, that they have offerings and do certain things with their guides that are going to make their guides happy, and they often do ritual energy raising for their guides as well. So that relationship is very give and take, and the explorer will put in as much energy as they absolutely need to for their guides to give them the best possible experience. So the explorer is a third type of spirit keeper, and you should be an explorer. Alright, so the next kind of spirit keeper that we have is the shepherd. Now this is kind of interesting to me because I never expected to find this when we first started, but over time we realized that there are people who buy the same kind of guide over and over and over again. because they just really like the energy of the spirit, and it just makes them really, really happy to connect with guides that are like, of a certain kind of energy, which it should. I mean, totally. So a lot of times we notice that shepherds are very empathic people. They tend towards light arts deities or to gray arts deities that have kind of like a certain spin on them, and they usually are just surrounding themselves with this kind of like happy energy. They have a very, very emotional and empathic connection with guides of a specific type, and they are like on fire for that type of guide. So if someone is a shepherd, usually they are all about unicorns in every walk of their life, and they are, if they see a unicorn spirit somewhere, they are all over this listing trying to figure out what's going on. Or if they see a dragon listing, they're all over it. And they often take their communication with a certain type of guide, like dragons or unicorns, or some with vampires or jinn, and they take their experiences with their jinn and kind of try to educate other people on that type of spirit. So shepherds are kind of really cool because they often advocate for spirit guides, which sounds silly, but at the same time they do, and they find a lot of really pertinent information because their connection with that type of spiritual energy becomes very, very, very strong, and they end up being able to have communication with that type of guide like so easily and almost better than a lot of keepers, because they are a lot of other keepers and even some sellers, they can communicate with their guides so much better because they're just so used to talking to that kind of guide and being on that wavelength and frequency. One thing about being a shepherd is that they might limit their ability in other areas of spiritual practice, but at the same time, if you're fulfilled in your practice, then that's wonderful. But a lot of times shepherds can get into spending too much concern about how their guides are doing and forgetting that their guides are working with them and working to build their life and move their life forward as well. So if you run into being a shepherd and you like a certain kind of guide, make sure that you don't put too much concern on every little aspect and tiny detail of how your guides are doing and what they're telling you. And also, if you are going to be a shepherd, when you first start, a lot of people who are shepherds, we've noticed, they will start to ask a lot of questions and really want to know and get their hands on a lot of information. So if you're going to be a shepherd, make sure that when you're working with a spiritual seller or a summoner, that you are making sure you have all the information, the whole picture of the spirit that you want, or inquire about services to get the information that you need about the spirit, like how they look and what their favorite things are. Because if you're going to want to interact with them on a high level, make sure you get all the information that you need and inquire about those services, because some sellers will require that you pay for additional information besides just the spirits, what's listed in the spirits listing. So if you are a shepherd, make sure you budget some extra money for extra readings and information to check up on your spirits. The next kind of spirit keeper that we have found is kind of an interesting one. We call it the Casanova. These are people who come to spirit keeping like simply for their love life and simply for manifesting romance or erotic kind of fantasies with spirit guides. So there are some, this is kind of a generalized one, but just basically people who seek a guide to help with their love life, or like a wingman guide. Oftentimes, they're going to be purchasing dark arts entities and are going to make sure that they can bring in as much love and relationships into their life. People who are the Casanova, for the most part, we find are male, and they love dark arts kind of entities who are very, flirty and exciting and stimulating. And these, for the Casanova, a lot of the time, these guys end up being life-changing because they provide something for them that they might be lacking in other areas. And the Casanova might start out looking for guides to, help with, whatever they're trying to manifest in their relationships or their love life, and end up finding that, wow, spirit guides have a lot of information, wow, they've really changed me. And spontaneously, the Casanova can find themselves really connected to their spirit guides and really connected to their psychic ability. And my theory behind this is actually that people who are going into love and relationships are connecting with guides that are on a very physical level, because they need that close connection, and they need a very specific type of guide to manifest, very physical interactions. So their energy is usually like on a lower frequency, and so people who might not necessarily be very spiritual, if they get in touch with a guy that is very strong and on a lower frequency, it starts to open up their psychic ability very quickly. And that is a tip as well for beginning spirit keepers. If you look for a strong and low frequency guide, they'll really help to open you up, because you'll be able to experience them and sense them just in everyday life, versus a guide who has a very high frequency. You might have to do a little more work to experience them. So Casanovas often convert to other types of spirit keeping after a while, just because of the types of guides that they seek out. So that's why we put it in a different category, because while someone might be seeking spirit keeping for certain reasons, they might transfer kind of what they're doing at a later time. So the Casanova. The last spirit keeper that we found is the Guru. And the Guru is someone who uses their spiritual connections to dispense knowledge and healing. This is kind of like overarching, because there are all kinds of gurus. So no matter what they are trying to do, versus the explorer, where they want to go find out and learn, the guru is now very concerned with teaching and teaching correctly and being very informed. So the guru often has many different types of guides, and has practiced with them so much that they are almost integrated into their personality, integrated into their subconscious. The guru is usually practiced at different forms of divination, and does have a very established spiritual practice and a very established idea and religion, and just definitely very defined spiritualness, because they're trying to manifest very specific things. So these guys use their guides to dispense knowledge and gain new knowledge as well, and apply it, not only just get the knowledge, but they apply it to what is already known and try to expand on already held beliefs. So usually they will be working with very high vibrational entities who are very connected with universal truths, and the guru is seeking to enhance the spiritual well-being, physical and mental well-being of others. Like I said, they usually are integrated with their guides, and so you might not even know that the guru's guides are specific guides or entities. They might just refer to them as their guides. Oftentimes the guru doesn't take as much time to have ritual practice with their guides, but instead, through integrating and channeling their guides in almost everything that they do, the guru is honoring their guides and making sure that flow of energy is constant between them and their guides. So the guru is probably most of your sellers are people who are very involved in spirituality and writing, or who are very active in their communities, and very focused on helping and healing others. And if you're a spirit keeper and you're focused on doing that and bringing forward your guides and integrating your guides, over time you yourself will become probably a guru. Gurus seek new guides oftentimes for delving deeper into those truths and delving deeper into their understanding of things, but also a guru will seek a guide to help understand another point of view, or to understand someone else's situation, so that they can give better guidance. So gurus oftentimes connect with new guides to enhance their discernment and to enhance their sort of spiritual worldview. But those are our breakdowns of what kind of spirit keepers there are and how they approach spirit keeping. And those were the collector and the passive keeper, the executive, the explorer, the shepherd, the Casanova, and the guru. And I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and Carmen actually is going to make a little quiz for you guys, so I will link it in the description so you guys can take it and figure out which one you are. But love and light, and we'll talk to you later.